Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrot Bros. Now today we're going to be doing an interior colour change. Yes, in the background you can see we have this beautiful Audi Cognac tan, and I want to get rid of this boring grey. I'm going to show you how to do it start to finish. I have already done the rear seats, the front seat, the handbrake gaiter, the knee pads and the steering wheel as well, because when in Rome you may as well just colour everything that's leather. I'm going to show you the full process, what I've used and how simple to do it is. It is just solely time consuming, but if you're like me and you've got loads of time on your hands, instead of going out and buying more TTs, you may as well work on the ones you've got. How about that? So before we get stuck into it, let's jump into that intro. So removing your interior is relatively easy. The rear seats, the base just pulls out. The upper ones have 2 bolts on the outside, 2 bolts on the inside, I think it is. On both parts, you just click them down and then they lift out. It comes with the seat belt as well. The front seats are 4 bolts, 1 on each corner, which is an 8mm Allen key. And then this has a screw underneath here if it's the non-leather one. If it's the leather one like this, it is just an interference fit, so it just slides into position. The knee pads, you just pull them apart like that and they just lift off, and then to push them back on, you just push them back on. Steering wheel is a multi-spline bit in the center. Whenever removing any seats with any airbags, steering wheel airbags, anything like that, remove your battery, wait 5 or 10 minutes for it to fully discharge before you do anything like that. Safety first, of course. But the process is relatively straightforward. I'll show you that start to finish when we get inside. So what I'll do quickly is whip this seat out and we'll get into my dining room. Okay, so now you're ready to dye your leather. Now there is a few things you need to do first. One of them is you need to clean your leather. You can clean it with any particular leather cleaner solution. I've gone for the Leather Colour Doctor range, as they were kind enough to do me a package after seeing my last video on how to recolour your steering wheel and to change colour on stuff. So we've basically got a cleaner, and then there's a promoter, which is to be used to basically make sure that the dye actually really attracts to it. There's an all-in-one colour dye and sealer, and then there is a leather finish sealer as well. Now, when I first did it, all I used was this, and it lasted a couple of years. It's starting to wear a little bit in the noggy, and it's going to need to be redone, so we are going for the full process. However, I did get good results just by using the all-in-one and sealer. The sealer that they do is like a clear barrier, which I would 100% recommend. Even if you don't buy the first 2 products, just make sure your seats are clean, because you don't want to paint onto a dirty surface. Use the colour dye, which is very good, and when you've done enough coats will last. But this just gives you that extra bit of time, especially on high wear areas like steering wheel and driver's seat. You'll also need yourself a non-scratch scotch. I've been using this just to clean it, just to work into the areas and just to get into there and everything. And it's also good just to test spray on. And I would also use, I've been using the sponge. You can use the sponge method, which is where you put the dye on and just dab it around. Or there is also the spray option. Now this is what I've been using this time, because I find you get a better, more even finish. The first 3 or 4 coats looks really patchy, but it allows you to just get into the creases that little bit better than if you're trying to like force it in. So if you do the airbrush way, this is 15 quid from Toolstation. You will need a compressor, and you'll also need to set your compressor to the perfect amount of air for what you are using. I think I was about 25 or 30 psi, and then you just put an end on it and connect it to your compressor. So I'm going to quickly scrub the seats, and then I will show you us putting on the promoter before we get stuck in with some colour. Okay, so once you've cleaned the seat and you're ready to go, mask off what you don't want to be sprayed now. What I will say is I'm going to be spraying all of these lower textured trims, but I don't want to spray the smooth ones. I've masked off the adjustment knobs and the lift ups, although if you do get some overspray on the smooth, afterwards it will just pull off like a rubberized paint. I would recommend taking this off just so you get a nice clear thing. You want to get a screwdriver and just push down into a little tab, and there's an opening, and then it just pulls off towards you. There's the opening for the tab. And put this to one side nice and safe, and then you are ready to start spraying with the promoter. Paint everything, if you've got the promoter, paint everything with that promoter first before you hit it with colour. So literally, I'm going to be doing all parts of the leather, this hard plastic, all the bases of the seats, the headrest, and round the back as well. So let's get stuck in. Now the promoter has been applied. It's almost a little bit sticky, but it's dry to touch. You can use, with all of these products, you can use a hairdryer or a heat gun from a distance just to speed up the process of it going off. What I will say is make sure you have masked basically anything you don't want to spray. I'm going to be spraying the little plastic rings, the whole headrest, the seat, and like I said, the hard side and back. I've covered all the bits I don't want to, apart from this smooth bit here, which honestly it will just rub off afterwards. Worst case, you can use a non-scratch scotch and it just pushes off. It is very, very simple. What I would say is before you apply any colour, deal with any issues. So if you've got any really big cracking that needs some filler, or any bits of scuffs or little frayed bits, cut them off. Do all your prep pre-colour, because the last thing you want to do is start throwing colour on and then having an issue. So give it a good shake. This is, how much is this, does it say? I don't actually know. I think it's a litre, but it only takes about half a litre to do an interior, but you always want to buy more just in case you need to touch anything up down in the future. Keep it in a cool, dry place. And then just, honestly, you'd be surprised how far this goes. I fill this about 3/4 of the way full. Put this to one side, and then what I do is a few spray outs just to make sure the gun's set up properly. The other thing I had to do on this was actually make the breather hole a little bit bigger because it wasn't quite enough, because it's quite a thick compound. It didn't like it very much. So let's plug this in. Now do a few spray outs on something you're not too precious about. I've got a yellow cloth here. And then you just want to start doing some dust coats, nothing too heavy. It will take quite a few coats to get it about right. You can see here that it's coming out nice. And then obviously the more coats you do, the darker it goes. Now, like I said, we're going to do some few dust coats. It doesn't even look like you're getting much on there. But just backwards and forwards, try not to go over the same bit twice, because you're trying to get the first little layer down. If you do too much, it will go a bit weird, so just nice and light. The key to doing the best job I found with this is just to do more coats with less rather than less coats with more. Try and get in all your cracks every time. So what I normally would do is just spray all your lines where your joints are in every single one. You have to play around with the nozzle of your gun just to get the perfect spray pattern, but the more you do it, the sort of you'll get a feel for where it needs to be. You may have to wind the seat backwards a little bit just to get that sweet spot. You also want to spray your stitching area as well. Like I said, every time you do the joints and stitching area, and then by the end it will look absolutely perfect. So it looks a bit weird now. And believe me, don't get worried if when you first start it does look a little bit funny, and you think, oh god, what am I doing? It's not covering very well. That's absolutely normal. It does take about 6 or 7 coats to get it perfect, but you'll soon see results. If you do something smaller first, maybe paint something that's leather that you don't care so much about first, just to get a bit of a feel for it. Like I said, there's plenty of paint in there. Wear some comfortable footwear because you're going to be standing for a while, or sit down if you can. And then just do a nice dust coat on everything. Start from the top, and then it's already starting to take shape. The darker colours do take a couple more coats, but the colours, to be fair, the colour looks the same whether it's dark or light. The rear seats were silver into this tan, and then these front seats are dark grey, but they look exactly the same in the car. You can see they're sort of starting to look like a weird goldy colour. I'll give you a better look in a minute. Like I said, try not to go over the same bit twice. There is other ways. If you trust yourself more with a paint gun, you could definitely use a paint gun. You just have less detail and less fine adjustment, but if you're doing big surfaces, it's probably a lot quicker. But as long as you don't do it too thick, that's the danger. You can go slower to get slightly thicker coats, and you're probably going to need quite a few coats on where it's cracked like that. What I don't want to do is I don't want to take the age out of the seat. You can obviously repair the seats, make them look new again. I'm not too worried about that. I just want them to look honest, because it is a 20-year-old car. It's done over 100,000 miles, so I want it to look like that. But there is no tears, it's just cracks. The paint will actually fill the cracks quite well. Let's unplug and I'll give you a better look at this now. So it's sort of like an orangey colour. I'd recommend popping this in your masking tape so it stands up, doesn't fall over. I'll give you a better look at the seat now. So you can see there it's just sort of orangey and it goes a bit funny looking. But like I said, the more coats you do, I'll do one quick coat on this now, and then I will come back to you once I'm 2 or 3 coats in and you can see the difference with that. So after applying the first couple of coats, you'll start to notice that it'll be really patchy. Now don't worry, because that will naturally clear. The more coats you do, the more even a finish you will get. And you start to notice, so this is 1 or 2 coats, then moving on to 3 or 4 coats, and this is what it looks like after coats 5 and 6. Now you may need a 7th just to get a really nice even finish. Any bits you've missed, any bits that need a little bit more attention than others, maybe there's some cracks, maybe it's on a seam, or maybe you just missed it where the angle where you've had it stood. Now it's a nice lengthy process. Like I said, clear your day, take a day or 2 to do it, don't rush, and you'll get gorgeous finishes. Now this is what it looks like complete. I had already a control steering wheel which was white or silver around the outside, same as this leather gaiter and them knee pads. So these have gone from silver white, this has gone from dark grey, and the rear seats came out of a silver car as well. Really happy with the results. Let me know what you think. Does the blue suit the tan? I'll get some photos and we'll do a little walk around as well. But yeah, nice easy process. Just take your time. Like I said, I've got these seats looking like they should, like the car's done 100,000 miles. Yeah, they're a little bit cracked. There's some creases. Do I care? Not really. It's an honest car. The steering wheel, I probably put 3 or 4 coats of the clear protector on, same as the driver's seat, because that's going to get the most wear out of everything. But the rest of the stuff, the other passenger seat got a few coats of the clear. The rear seat's only got 1 or 2 coats of the clear because no one's actually ever going to use them. I may throw a bag on there. That is about all. But what do you reckon to the colour? This colour was never produced. You're right, neighbours. This colour was never produced in a TT. They made a moccasin, which is what I have, the baseball, but that's a slightly sort of darker reddy brown. This light tan, to my knowledge, was never made in a factory colour for this car. It is a factory VW Audi colour. It's called Cognac. It comes in the newer models, but not in the early models, and I think it looks absolutely wicked with this steering wheel. It's got a lovely satin finish. I haven't used any creams yet. I was going to let it rest for a few days before putting some sort of Gliptone leather balm or leather care cream onto it, just to give it time to set first. But like I said, you can air dry it and then sit on it pretty much straight away. Look, see, look, no paint on me back. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you could do any colour, what would you do? Down in the description. But until next time, guys, bye for now.